Attic Treasures. Glenn and Flora stood in the dust of their grandpa's attic. All around them were boxes, trunks, and old clothes. I don't see any games or toys, said Glenn. Grandmother said we might find something fun up here. I hope we do, said Flora. I'm tired of TV, and it's too rainy to go outside to play. Glenn opened an old cardboard box. Help me look, Flora. Who knows that we'll find? There could be all sorts of surprise. In the cardboard box were some rusty hammers, screwdrivers, bolts, and nails. Want to build something? Asked Glenn with a smile. Flora knew not to touch them. They look too old for that, she said. She dug through a crate by the chimney. Here are some old dishes. They're really pretty. We could have a tea party. Glenn rolled his eyes. No thanks. The children looked through more boxes, finding only magazines, books, a carved duck, and some moth-eaten clothes. A few minutes later, Flora discovered an old trunk. It was hidden beneath a layer of old blankets and dust. Look, she said. I wonder what this is. It has a lock in it. It must be a secret. I wish we could open it, said Glenn. We have no key. Flora looked around. She saw something shiny on the sill of the attic window. I think that's a key, she said. She had a duck beneath a low ceiling beam so she wouldn't bump her head. She grabbed the piece of metal. It was a key. Let's try it. Flora sat down beside Glenn. I hope it works, she said. I know there are wonderful things inside. Why else would it be locked? Slowly, she slid the tip of the key into the lock. With a click, the lock popped open. Glenn cheered. Flora pushed the lid up. Bits of dust flew into the air like gnats. The children looked inside. Their smiles faded at once. More books, said Glenn, and some clothes. I thought there would be games or some treasure. Flora dug inside the trunk. Maybe there's gold at the bottom, she said. They wiggled their fingers deep into the trunk, under books, papers, and old clothes, but there was no gold at all. Glenn and Flora sat back on their heels. Their noses were covered with dust. Glenn sneezed. Then he said, Let's close it. This trunk is a waste of time. Wait, said Flora. She pulled an old red leather-covered book from the trunk. Look, it's just another book, said Glenn. I don't think so, said Flora. She rubbed the dirt off the cover. It says Log of Salty Johns, Captain of the Sea Skipper. Log of Salty Johns, Captain of the Sea Skipper. Salty John, said Glenn. He was our great-great-grandfather. That's right, said Flora, but nobody knows much about him. He was a sea captain, and here is his journal. Glenn wrapped his arm around his knees. I wonder if he had any adventures, he asked. Let's read and find out. Flora carefully opened to the first page and read out loud. May 12th. All through the night I heard the wind blow as loud as a lion's roar. I was afraid the sea skipper might tip over. But she held on. Above my bunk, the lantern swayed back and forth. Shadows ran around the floor like a cat after mice. I went topside at midnight to check on my men. They were holding the ship steady and on course. The man at the wheel nodded at me. The man at the compass waved bravely. Rough water. I could see a distant lighthouse on a strong foundation of rock. I was glad to see the lights and know we would be safe from crashing into land. May 13th. By sun up this morning, The wind had died. The sea became calm. Time to get back to work. We checked our nets and dropped an anchor near a school of shivery fish. As I leaned over the rail, I saw a strange sight. Suddenly, a small brown spider crawled across the page. Flora jumped and tossed the journal into the air. Glenn caught it before it hit the floor. "Don't be silly," said Glenn. "That was just a little thing. What are you so afraid of?" "I'm not afraid, just startled," said Flora with a frown. "Now you read a little bit so we can find out what Salty Johns saw in the water." Glenn took the journal from Flora. The spider crawled into the crack in the floor. I couldn't tell what was there at first. The surface of the water looked as white as snow or ice. Yet I knew there was no icebergs drifting this far south. That a spout of water 20 feet tall shot up from the ocean's surface. "It's where?" I said to my mate. "It's a white one. At that!" The whale slowly circled our ship. At one point, I could see its eyes. At another point, I could see its fin, and then its huge tail. It seemed to be watching us carefully. One of my crew shouted, "A white whale is good luck. It can lead us to great treasures." I heard the story before. My men and I quickly pulled our nets from the water. If we found treasure, we would never have to fish again. Suddenly the white whale lifted its tail and slapped the water a mighty blow. It dove into the depths and disappeared. "We must follow it," I said. "I never knew there was such a thing as a white whale," said Flora. "I wonder if the legend is true," said Glenn. "Maybe they followed the white whale and found the treasure." "What if the whale led them to a secret island?" said Flora, taking a log back from Glenn. "I bet there were lost pirates' chests buried in the sand, full of gold and silver, and rubies and diamonds and pearls," said Glenn. "I bet they got so rich and they never had to go fishing again." May 15th. We have been looking for the white whale for several days. We have not seen it again, but we won't give up. We have talked about what we will do with our riches when we find them. My mate will buy his own ship. I will build a big mansion for my family May 20th. It has been a week and there is no sign of the whale yet. My mate thinks we should give up, but I'm not ready. I know that whale is out there. We fished today so we would have something to eat, but we keep on hunting and hoping. May 29th. Today I told my men that I knew the search must end. We cannot chase a dream and starve while we do it. This morning we changed our course to head back home. We will fish as we go. Some we will eat, and the rest we will sell when we reach the harbor. I won't make enough money from the fishes to build a mansion, but that is all right. June 15th. We are home. Our fish are sold. Tonight I sleep in my own house. My family is glad I am back. In 3 days I will be off on the sea skipper to fish once more. Flora closed log. Too bad Salty never found that white whale again. Let's take this book to Grandpa and ask if he knows about the legend, said Glenn. Yes, said Flora, and Grandpa has a fishing boat. Maybe he will take us out in it. We can look for the white whale ourselves. They hurried to the attic door. We found a white whale, said Flora. Maybe we can follow him to the treasure. Ren smiled. We did find something fun up in this old attic after all. The end.